pro football. The NFL cranks it up tonight with the Packers and Bears. The Falcons play at the Vikings on Sunday. Good to have you back, buddy.
Hey, Gary, thanks for having me back. Yeah, can't be happier about the season starting after sitting through 5 exhibition games where the teams tried to not really show us much of anything. So we're getting some real football here starting tonight, and I'm pretty fired up about it.
Yeah, I am too. And the Falcons have made that preseason schedule. They have become the masters of not showing much. They're not very good in the preseason, but it doesn't matter. Sunday we get the Falcons at the Vikings. Let's start with the big story that has kind of hung over this team and this organization all during fall camp and the preseason, and that's Julio Jones. Arthur Blank, Thomas Dimitroff have said they want to make him the highest paid receiver in the National Football League. They want him to be a Falcon for life. That's what he wants. Jimmy Sexton, his agent, wants. And yet, I guess as of this morning, we still don't have a deal in place. What's the latest, and will we see something today or tomorrow get this thing wrapped up before the Falcons kick off the season?
Yeah, I know how the Falcons operate, and they wouldn't want to take any attention away from the league opening today. So, tomorrow is what we're looking at probably as the morning passes here that, they won't try to do something right before kickoff or right before the opening game. So probably tomorrow, years and the guaranteed money's a factor. And, it was just a matter of getting that hammered out.
Julio and Dan Quinn, the coach and the player and Blank and Dimitroff, sometimes these negotiations can be testy. But in this case, the Falcons did a good job. Julio did a good job of not letting this really become a distraction. I mean, I've been watching it from the outside, following your coverage, but it's been really kind of lovey-dovey between the two sides, even though there is still no new deal in place. Am I right on that? Is that the way this thing is kind of played out?
Yeah, on the surface, there has been some acrimony, behind the scenes, with regards to, not being able to get the deal done that they knew was coming from a mile away. So, the demands of, the years that Julio may or may not want and the guaranteed money, that's new for the NFL, guaranteeing contracts like the NBA, providing outs and escalators if the salary field changes like it did last time, and which is kind of the beginning of this whole round of contract negotiations. So, the word is Julio wants a flexible deal that can escalate with the market as it goes up for however long he's playing. So that's pretty complex type of deal to work out. And, hopefully, they got that done now before the season starts. I don't know if he plays if it's not done. That's, one of the things we'll have to keep on top of. He was certainly he's been at practice every day this week thus far.
Yeah, I say got to get it done. It's just something that has to be taken care of for this team. Let me ask you about this team. You got a Q&A right now at ajc.com with owner Arthur Blank saying it's all about the rings, and I get that. I mean, he has done everything he can from an ownership perspective to bring a world championship to Atlanta. Well, no need to beat a dead horse. They should have had it a couple years ago against the Patriots. They blew it. Nothing you can do about it. Over, done with. Never should have lost that game. Falcons should have a world title, and you and I both know it. But going forward, this team this year, as it's constructed, in your opinion, I know they haven't played a game, but you follow it as closely as any media person out there. Is this team on paper good enough to have an opportunity to make it to the Super Bowl?
Yeah, Gary, I think they are. I am concerned, however, about the revamped offensive line. If that pans out for them, certainly. The defense is retooled. All those guys are healthy. If the pass rush can get there and the coverage is tighter, then you got a top 10 defense again. And with that, you need a line that can hold up, not playing from behind, that's running the ball on people. That's their formula for success, is running the football and then having Matt Ryan throw off of the play action. And, that's how they got there at 16, and that would be how they would do it this year. So everything's in place. It's just all got to come together. It would have been nice to see some of that in the exhibition season, but, that's just the nature of the beast these days in the NFL. yeah, everything's there to make a deep playoff run.
Okay, you mentioned the offensive line, and they've tried to retool that thing. There's no doubt last year it was a weakness. They drafted for it. They've added guys, one of them being, of course, James Carpenter, former Alabama standout. But I don't hear in your voice that you're confident that this offensive line is going to be any better than the one they had last year.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of, they got bigger, and then they're still trying to run outside zone with bigger linemen. But, Dirk isn't an outside zone guy. And then you got two rookies on the right side for sure, once they get them all the way up to full speed. And so that's usually not a winning formula. But, maybe these two rookies are pretty good, and it's going to work out for them. So, but, yeah, I haven't, if you're from the Show Me State, they haven't showed us that they're going to be fine there. But we certainly recognize that there's a great deal of potential for him to turn out okay over there.
Let me ask you about James Carpenter, because I'll be honest with you, I read your stuff, but I have not looked at the depth chart that closely. Is he going to start for this football team, or is he a backup?
They list him and Jamin Brown out of Louisville as either or at left guard, but we suspect James Carpenter will start. He was hurt a little bit here in the exhibition season with the hip, but Jamin Brown didn't play very well when he was out there, so I'm thinking they know what James Carpenter can do. He's really not an outside zone guy. He's a power run guy and decent in pass protection. So they're going to try to run the ball. They kept 5 running backs. They didn't keep them all to throwing passes. So I'm thinking James is going to be just fine.
Okay. Devonta Freeman, last year just wasn't his year. For the Falcons offense to really be all it can be, he's got to get back to being the guy from 2-3 years ago. Is he, in your opinion, going to be that guy and give them the difference maker they need out of the backfield this season?
I think so, based on talks with Coach Quinn and the running backs coach Dave Brock. They've seen nothing but good flashes of Devonta Freeman. Matt Ryan has also said he looks fine, that he's back to him also. And, just in Dirk Cutter's offense, Freeman was a rookie when Dirk was here. He was backing up Steven Jackson that year. And so he's familiar with how Dirk likes to run some inside zones, some power, gap, and a little bit of everything, and just kind of mix it all up. And that ends up helping out the line and the running back. So he could be in for a big year. He's only 27, Gary. 2 down years after the contract signed. So it's a stage is set for him to have a big breakthrough year, and he's healthy. He's running just as fast as he used to, and he can cut still. So looking for him to have a bounce back season.
All right. Last year, injuries just paralyzed that defense. All right. Got to get a better performance from them. You get some guys back, including Deion Jones, who seems to kind of be the leader of that defense. Where will this Falcons defense rank, in your opinion? Will it be in the upper half, middle of the pack, or lower half? What do you think of this defense?
I think they have the potential to be a top 10 defense. They were top 8 the year before with all of the injuries and so forth, and that was without much of a pass rush. So without tighter coverage, they're hoping that Isaiah Oliver and DeMonte Casey can cover the slot and the right wide receiver a lot better than Brian Poole and Robert Alford did last year. So if they're hoping Trufant can refine his glory too in 2015 when he went to the Pro Bowl. So if you got receivers locked down, that's going to give the pass rush more time to get there. And Grady Jarrett coming up the middle, Tack McKinley and Vic Beasley should have some time to get home with some of their rushes if the coverage is tighter. And then we know Keanu O'Neal's a hard hitter on the back end of that defense, and will provide them with a physical presence.
D. Orlando Ledbetter with us, talking Falcons football. Follow him on Twitter at DOrlandoAJC. Couple more questions before we get to your feelings on this opening game at Minnesota. Matt Ryan, he's been really good his whole career. I think certainly a top-tier NFL quarterback. I've told you this. I've never put him in the Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, Ben Roethlisberger category. That's just me. I mean, I may be wrong, but I think he's been very good. He's, getting to that point where if they're going to win a Super Bowl with him, it's going to have to happen pretty soon. Tell me about where you think Matt Ryan's at with his physical ability. Has he lost anything? What kind of year you think he's going to have? And is he the same quarterback he was, say, even 2 or 3 years ago?
Yeah, Matt, 8 of his 11 years have been winning seasons here in Atlanta. So he's, 102 victories. I think 65% winning percentage. So that's fair to say he's not in the great category, but certainly is very good and very respectable. Gary, he's looked fine here in the off-season, the exhibition season. He did play more than a lot of the other players. We played behind a leaky line against the Jets where they blitzed him to death, and he moved around pretty good, completing 9 passes in a row. Did the same thing in the big game against Washington with a little bit better protection. He's clearly ready to go. Look for a big year for Matt Ryan, even if he does have to scramble about a little bit, because Dirk Cutter will throw some screens out there, and they can quick game people too. They had to do that in 14 when the offensive line wasn't rebuilt either. So it wasn't a winning season, but they know how to get it done and move the ball around while they're trying to develop this line. I think he's going to be just fine. Of all the problems that they have, the quarterback position is not one of them.
And Dan Quinn, certainly he's been a solid head coach and should have won a Super Bowl, but didn't. And I sense that after that meltdown happened against the Patriots, that maybe there was a little bit of a loss of confidence in him. And then last season, not a great year for the Falcons. Where does he stand? Do you think he has the confidence of his players, most importantly, of the organization, or is this a year where he had better do something special, or could he be on the chopping block? Tell me about where Dan Quinn stands with this organization.
Yeah, Gary, I think it's 19-18 after the Super Bowl collapse, which is 500 and is not going to get it done, not going to keep you around. And the NFL these days where the owners want to win, right now, right away, there's no 5-year plans. There's no rebuilding and all that kind of stuff like it used to be. So, a second year out of the playoffs got Mike Smith fired, the winningest coaching team in history. He went 5 straight winning seasons, went to the playoffs 4 out of 5 years, and then because the rebuild on the line was pretty boring and poor, they lost 2 seasons and he was gone. So, that's a similar pattern here. Not as consistent winning as Coach Mike Smith, but 2 down losing years cost Mike Smith. So it's fair to conclude that this is a big season for Dan Quinn, who will be calling the defense this year. They went out and got him some help, though, Gary. They got him some veteran coaches and, Dirk Cutter, Mike Mularkey, Bob Sutton. Bob Sutton was the head coach at Army. Dirk, of course, at Tampa Bay, and then Mike Mularkey in 3 different places. So, and they've been trying to come up with a good plan on how to win and how to play together. So he got some coaching help. They brought him in some brain power, and that should help out the Falcons from a coaching perspective.
All right, lastly, this is a tough opener on the road at Minnesota against the Vikings. Do you think the Falcons are going to find a way to win on the road, or are they going to start out the season 0-1? What's going to happen in your opinion?
I have it down as a loss, but, there's certainly a path to victory for them. Their defensive line will have to dominate and get to Kirk Cousins and make him throw them the ball a couple times. Now, Minnesota's offensive line is nothing to be afraid of, and that's the one advantage the Falcons have. Although I don't like the matchup of the Falcons line against the Vikings defensive line. And we'll see if these cornerbacks are any good against a very good receiving core of Adam Thielen and Stephon Diggs. They got Irv Smith up there and Kyle Rudolph. So, the matchups don't seem to favor the Falcons, although you got to take the D-line over the Vikings O-line, and you got to take Matt Ryan over Kirk Cousins. So, it's just going to be hard to win in that noisy place on the road in the opener.
All right. Going to be fun. Glad it's back. Folks, follow Orlando on Twitter, as I said, at DOrlandoAJC. Of course, obviously, AJC.com, in the newspaper as well, the Bowtie Chronicles. He is the authority when it comes to covering the Atlanta Falcons, and he'll join us on Thursdays throughout the NFL football season. Thank you so much, Orlando.
Thank you, Gary. Take care and have a great day.